So I wanted to talk about these outdoor lights that are in the soffit of a house. Your lights may be on a timer or on a light sensor switch, which mine were. And I'm going to show you how I look at that sunset, diagnosed and sort of solved a problem here that I was having. On the outside here, we could see there is a junction box there, and it has a light sensor or photoelectric sensor that I believe was one time powering these floodlights. These floodlights were probably on a motion sensor whenever this house was first built in the 70s, which I have found to be an issue. But the problem I was having was these lights were coming on at about 5 p.m. and not shutting off all night, and I could not for the life of me find a switch to turn the lights off. And in fact, through research, I found that sometimes these exterior lights, sometimes they weren't even routed with a switch or planned to have a switch. In my case, I believe these floodlights were just motion active, and they were directly powered to the panel, the electrical panel. That's the only way that I could find to shut them off. So I'm going to walk you through the solution to my problem here, which was these exterior lights staying on all night and coming on well before the sun went down. So let's go inside to the attic. So you might be saying, well, why don't you just keep your exterior lights on all night? And well, we don't feel like paying the electric on that. It's not great for the environment. There's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want them on all night. We don't live in a terribly unsafe neighborhood, which I guess is actually more of a target than a unsafe neighborhood would be for car clicking or break-ins. So I don't know if there's a true argument there, but I feel like we don't need to have our exterior lights on all night. Plus we have some windows that have the light shining through them while we're trying to sleep. That's not really the issue, but it is an issue that you might also want to try to solve. So there's the electrical panel right there. And I kind of traced all of the Romex in the ceiling, and Romex is just the term for the wiring. And in that corner, that's where that exterior light was and where the sensor was. I could feed, I could trace an old line of Romex into that corner, which I believe was feeding the line for the floodlights, which no longer are in use. And I kind of concluded that those floodlights were probably directly connected to the panel with no switch, which again, if your house was built in the 70s, this might be what you're also experiencing, which is I kind of want to show you the solution I have here. And I'm going up into the attic right now to show you what that solution is. Yeah, this is a really janky ladder. I'm going to put you down for a second. Okay. So here we are in the attic. And again, this might take some detective work, because if you go up in your attic, you might see Romex all over the place like it is in mine, running different junction boxes back to the panel. And I am by no means an electrician, so do this at your own will. And if you don't feel safe doing it, then call an electrician. So I actually found that there's a new line of Romex here. Kind of follow it on this truss here, going down and this way. And again, the exterior light that we are feeding power to is down in that corner. There's actually a junction box. I can't see what's down in that corner because it just gets so tight. I went as far as I could, and I could just barely make out like some sort of box down there on the the fascia, the I don't know what you call that. It's like the raw fascia, or the stud that is creating that plate. I could kind of make something out down there, and I'm assuming that this Romex again was feeding the line to that box down there. On the outside of the house, you'll remember that there is a box with a light sensor, which I don't know if maybe the light sensor or the photoelectric sensor was probably bad on it, which I tested it with a flashlight and it didn't have the response time that you would expect a sensor to have for light sensing capabilities. But really, I don't want dusk to dawn lights. I want something that is on a timer. So this is a timer that I installed on a junction box here, or like I'm not really sure what you call this. This is just like an outlet switch box. And I figured out that this line of Romex here, also always use a voltage or little light or electric meter. I'm not sure what you're going to call it, but I call it a little voltage meter to make sure that the wires aren't live. And there is a spot or a time where you might have to cut a line and have it be a little bit unsafe. You can put a cable tie, or I don't know what you call those, like the gator clips or whatever. You can put those sort of things on the wire. Like this is what I'm talking about here. One of these little, twisties that you put on the end of the wires. You could put that on there to make sure that you're safe whenever you cut the power. But you'll have to cut this line after you come to the conclusion that it might be your power source. And whenever I cut that, I made sure that the power was off, obviously. So I cut the power, and then I cut this line, and then I turn the power back on, and I'll make sure that this live end is away from anything that is conductive. It's literally for like less than 2 minutes that I had to, have a live wire exposed just to make sure that my theory was correct. And whenever you turn the power back on, you'll go out to your exterior lights to check if the exterior lights are running again. And if you're in the situation that I was in, where I found that my exterior lights were hardwired directly to the panel without any sort of switch or anything on the wall inside, this is one option that you can actually do to make sure that your lights aren't on all night, or if you want to change up the timer on it. This is a timer switch here, and it has the time of day set on, it's 8:35 p.m. right now, and then this is going to say that it's on. That means that the lights are on. And then you see here you have my time on and my time off. I'm actually going to change this time on to 8 o'clock, or maybe just a little bit later than 7. Let's go 7:30 for right now, because it is a little bit after the summer solstice, so our days are getting shorter. So now the lights will come on at 7:30, and they will turn off at 12 a.m. Now, this wiring was done in the most professional way that I could manage myself to do it. Everything is sealed within this junction, and yeah, I think it's a pretty legit way to add a timer to a hardwired line or exterior light that you don't necessarily need a switch for. If you needed an actual switch for this, I am not the best resource on it, but if you want to add an actual timer to your exterior lights that you don't necessarily need access to on a daily basis, this is a good way to do it in your attic and have it tidy and make sure that it's going to turn off at a reasonable time and not be burning up the electric bill. So that's it. I hope that you enjoyed and maybe learned something. Be safe with your electrical work, and if you need to hire a electrician to know that it's been done safely, then go ahead and do it. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll try to answer them. Don't forget to go out there, create your own adventure however you can. Spread some positivity. I'll see you on the next one.